Hey folks, Nate here, and with Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, my most anticipated game of the year being released soon, I wanted to take some time to share my thoughts on what's been revealed, as well as my hopes and predictions for the future of the game. A bit of history before we begin. For the past 15 years or so, I've been in love with Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. It's my all-time favorite kart racer, and I've been coming back to it non-stop. It's got so much charm and personality with the different taunts, voice lines, personalized vehicles, all-star moves, and of course the god-tier announcer. Along with perfectly aged controls and a great sense of speed combined with fun tracks, it's one of my all-time favorite video games, and one I'll always keep coming back to. It wouldn't be about till 3 years ago or so when I dabbled in some of the other Sonic Racing games, and I've had varying opinions on them. The top-tier Sonic Riders and All-Stars Racing Transformed, the disappointing Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, and the garbage Team Sonic Racing. Oh man. I've played many more racing games over the years, like, of course, the Mario Kart franchise, a bunch of arcade racers like Initial D, H2 Overdrive, and whenever Jeremy forces me to, Garfield Kart. Well, we'll see who's laughing when I bust out Madagascar karts. None of them ever topped All-Stars Racing for me, and even as a kid up to now, I preferred Sonic Racing over Mario Kart. So, you can probably imagine how nuts I was going during the teaser trailer at the Game Awards, especially with only Shadow in it. I was hyped. Seriously, I lost it, and I just couldn't believe that Sonic Racing was back. It left me wanting more, and over this year I got so much more from the constant trailers that I'm going to discuss right now. From the first actual trailer, I was hooked on this game. The gameplay looked just as fun as the first two All-Stars Racing games, the roster was looking great, and I loved seeing that Sage was getting added. They announced a PS5 beta, but unfortunately I didn't have one at the time, but thankfully I was able to watch Cole play, and it looked great. The gameplay from the captured footage, whenever someone wasn't driving straight for a wall, looked very arcade-like, which some people said was too chaotic, but I didn't play the beta, so I wouldn't know. Though some of those items do look a little nuts, but thankfully it seems that they toned them down, according to the developers. It helps that the dev team includes some people who worked on the Initial D arcade game, which is a pretty damn good racing game, so I got faith this development team will make the best racing game they can. I really like seeing that the plane and boat sections were back, as well as trick animations, even if they're hard to see sometimes. I've heard complaints that the cars feel stiff when moving, but come on! They're cars, this ain't no Pixar. Speaking of vehicles, it's really cool to see the Extreme Gear back in action. Even though it doesn't play like Riders, it doesn't bother me because I wasn't expecting it to. Simple as that. I might not use it too much since I'm All-Stars Racing over Riders all day, but I'm glad it's here for the more hardcore Riders fans. On the topic of vehicles, the customization looks incredible. It just blows games like Mario Kart 8 away because of what you can do with it. The gear system is sounding like it'll really make a difference with how it's being said to switch up how your vehicle controls, and that allows for more player personification. But my favorite part of it all is definitely the paint jobs, because of what you can make the vehicles look like. I've seen stuff like Mach 5 from Speed Racer, the Incredibile from The Incredibles, and even Michael Keaton's Batmobile. The amount of variety of custom vehicles are going to reach Tekken levels of stupid, and I'm all here for it. I did at first find it a little strange that you could use other characters' cars, since each vehicle was usually made unique for that character in the All-Stars Racing series. Like, Big might look a little out of place in Sonic Speedstar, and it felt a little bit like carjacking. However, after seeing the kinds of custom vehicles made during the beta, I didn't really have a problem with it since most likely everyone will be making vehicles from different franchises, and let's be real, that thought was kind of stupid in the first place. I'm also a big fan of the crossworld and rival mechanics as well. CrossWorlds lets us travel through rings for different tracks on a second lap, and I find that cool since it spices up the race by thrusting you into a completely different location, and it helps making races feel fresh by mixing it up a bit. The tracks in this game already look great, and I'm still waiting for Radical Highway footage, and the crossworlds just make them look even better. For the rival, it simply just gives you a rival for the race that'll cause you the most trouble, and you get a really cool intro scene between your character and the rival. As a fighting game fan, I love that we're getting these types of intros in a racing game. It's almost like I'm playing another Mortal Kombat, but on wheels. Oh wait, they already did that. It's a little strange though that local multiplayer will also give you a rival, because when you think about it, aren't the other players your rivals? Now, before I get to the roster and my predictions, I do want to share a few issues I've taken with what we know so far. First of all, just a little nitpick, but the flight animations look super janky when you're moving. If you compare it to the plane sections in Transform, they look more smooth and natural there, while in CrossWorlds, the vehicle looks like it's having a seizure just by steering sometimes. It's not going to completely kill it for me, but it is a little weird though, just looking. Another thing is that the guest characters are set to not interact with the Sonic characters, which is okay, because, you know, it's a Sonic Racing game, and the crossover characters are there for the crossover appeal. But there has been little to no dialogue in any guest trailers varying between characters, so I question if they'll be mute or not, which I really hope is not the case, and I believe they just haven't added the lines in since they wanted to show the characters off right away. And if they don't have any new lines recorded for them, potentially they'll just do what they did for the All-Stars Racing games and just archive them. And my final issue is that stupid intro. Seriously, the lyrics just suck, and the guy singing it doesn't even sound like he cares. Like, just go look at the lyrics and listen to it for yourself, and you'll see what I mean. The cutscene isn't really all that interesting. I'd rather just watch a montage of every time the characters die in the intro, since that's more enjoyable. And there is one on YouTube, and it's only 22 seconds out of a minute 30, so that tells you how long I'm going to be enjoying that for. I'm just going to be skipping this intro every time I boot up the game. But now into the roster, where thankfully the rest will be pretty positive from here on out. I wanted to end it with this because this is what I want to keep learning about with this game. Who's going to get added? The initial roster is going to have 23 Sonic characters, 24 if you get the pre-order bonus, and 27 if you get the Digital Deluxe Edition. So there's definitely someone here for everyone. I'll be playing Shadow 99% of the time, but some of my other favorite Sonic characters are here like Omega and Espio, who hasn't been playable since Sonic Rivals. Like, what the hell, dude? Aside from that, the Babylon Rogues are back, Vector is finally with his team again, the Eggpon's gonna be playable, and out of all the Sonic newcomers, Sage put the biggest smile on my face. I seriously love that she's here. That's not where it stops, though, because if you pre-order the game, you'll get the Werehog in the roster, and even though I'm not a fan of clone characters in racing games, he's a completely different variant who hasn't been seen in forever, which makes him a welcome addition in my book. I'm not too crazy about the Digital Deluxe bonus, which are the Sonic Prime characters 9, Rusty Rose, and Knuckles the Dread. And even though this means that all of the bonus Sonic characters are just clones, the Prime characters are technically different versions and not just powered up forms or costumes, so it's not that big of a deal. Plus, it's a little something for the Prime fans. But the best part of the roster to me is one that seems a bit polarizing, and it's the crossover characters, and let me just say that I love that crossover characters are back. Some people don't like them, but ever since Sonic Riders they've had crossover characters. All-Stars Racing was built on being a crossover, and Transform introduces third-party characters, even though I'm mixed on them. TF2 is awesome, Ralph is and Danica Patrick and Yogscats are just plain stupid additions. As for this game, on the website they announced that Sega characters would be in the game, and that got me excited, and already thinking about who would get added. And somehow, I predicted all the first three. The first was Hatsune Miku, who got me excited right off the bat, since I've been a Vocaloid listener recently, especially this year, with Project Diva, Fortnite Festival, and the Colorful Stage movie, which is the best movie of the year. I will fight you on that! Then there's Ichiban Kasuga from Yakuza, which is one of those franchises I don't really play, but have a huge respect for, and I'm glad the Yakuza fans got a rep. The third, and what I was most excited for, was Joker for Persona 5. If you don't know, Persona 5 Royal is my favorite video game, and seeing that Joker was going to be in a Sonic Racing game absolutely made my day. The only thing that sucks is that as far as we know, the Sega characters won't have their own tracks, which is a shame because I can definitely see Miku Sekai, Kamurocho, Cho, and the Metaverse being tracks. But what matters is that we actually got Sega characters again, and they have their own vehicles. The best part? We're getting a new Sega character each month for free, with 13 slots on the website, so that's going to be 13 free characters, which is crazy for a modern game. But that just means even if you don't have the DLC, you'll still be getting post-launch content no matter what. Man, the only game I can think of that gave you both paid characters and free characters was Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash. Jeez, when's the last time anybody talked about that? Finally, there's the pop culture-based Season Pass, which is where a bulk of the crossover controversy comes from, but if you ask me, this is just another welcome addition. The game is about crossing over to other dimensions, and this applies to the Sega characters as well, but third-party characters are actually a great way to get people who aren't really familiar or on the fence about trying a game to give it a shot. No better example than the Mortal Kombat games. So far we got Steve, Alex, and a Creeper from Minecraft, SpongeBob and Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants, and future crossovers from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, the DLC I'm most excited for, and Avatar Legends, with 2 more announcements on the way. So basically, I get Shadow, Joker, Donatello, Omega, Hatsune Miku, and Espio in the same video game. If this isn't a win, I don't know what is. Now before we get to my closing thoughts, there's one more thing I want to go through real quick, and that's my predictions for DLC and free characters. I'll try to make this as fast as I can. For the Sega characters, we've got Bayonetta from Bayonetta, Jackie from Virtua Fighter, Beat from Jet Set Radio, Beady Joe from Crazy Taxi, Joe Musashi from Shinobi, Gilius Thunderhead from Golden Axe, Knights from Knights, Ai from Super Monkey Ball, Ulala from Space Channel 5, Rystar from Rystar, Amigo from Samba de Amigo, Axel Stone from Streets of Rage, Toe Jam and Earl from Toe Jam and Earl, and Hornet from... And if they were to do more than one per series, then include Aigis from Persona 3, Kazuma Kiryu from Yakuza, and Lennon Rin Kagamin from Vocaloid. My thought process for this was to include characters who are getting upcoming reboots, were cut from previous games, or were flag waivers who just need a chance to race, and Hornet because Ages and Transform was awesome and I'd love to see him come back. Also Sega Ta Sanshiro because they're bringing back the Sega All-Stars, so why not bring back the Sega All-Star? For pop culture DLC, I've got Go Mifune from Speed Racer. I feel like he'd be a perfect inclusion as one of the greatest racers ever, and when the thought of this popped into my head, it just stuck with me. Red, Chuck, and King Pig from Angry Birds, since Sega owns Rovio now. Maybe Red will be a free character if that's the case, but I still think there's a possibility of it being DLC. Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha from Naruto, my favorite anime, and this is basically a for me pick, since we all deserve one for predictions, but I'm keeping the characters realistic, otherwise I would totally throw Kakashi in there. Goku and Vegeta from Dragon Ball Daima. If they really wanted an anime pick, why not go with the godfather of shonen, and with Daima being shoved into literally every current Dragon Ball game, I think this would work well as a crossover, and the Daima versions actually work pretty well here. Dante and Virgil from Devil May Cry. Dante is my favorite video game character, so I wanted to include him, but with the recent DMC Netflix show, even though I found it to be a letdown, and the series going up in popularity, along with the series getting a Season 2, this might actually be a possibility instead of another for me pick, which would be great, honestly. Male and female V from Cyberpunk 2077, or David, Lucy, and Rebecca from Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I feel that Night City would be a great track, and that with Cyberpunk getting a redemption after Edgerunners and the updates, as well as Edgerunners Season 2 being announced, I think this is a perfect opportunity for a crossover. And Takumi Fujiwara and Keisuke Takahashi from Initial D. Since the development team consists of Initial D devs, I think it's only fair that they get to add their characters to this game, and looking through the comments on some CrossWorlds videos, I'm actually not alone on this. Now for my closing thoughts so far, and as for why it's my most anticipated game of the year. I feel this game is going to be very special to me as a Sonic Racing enthusiast. From the extreme gear to the crossover characters to transforming, customization, and all this other stuff, this game feels like a celebration of the entirety of Sonic Racing. When I had the realization, it made me even more happy that it's coming out. It managed to knock Ghost of Yotai out of the top spot for my most anticipated game of the year, and that was a tough bar to clear. But they managed to do it since they're giving me everything I want from Sonic Racing. I've already got the Digital Deluxe Edition pre-ordered, so I'm ready to go on release day. Thank you so much for watching this discussion video. Be sure to leave a comment down below on how you feel about Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and if you enjoyed this and think you might want to see more of me talking about stuff I like and upcoming things I find interesting, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more great Trio Brigade content, which will hopefully include Sonic Racing CrossWorlds when it releases. Thank you so much once again for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you on the racetrack.